Hey guys, welcome to another episode of StuTube. It's December the 1st. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin price, and as well I'm going to be looking at some interesting developments on one of my favorite charts you guys are probably going to recognize. So if that sounds good to you, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and with that, let's get it. Alright guys, going to start off by looking at my weekly Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to change things up a little bit today. Since we did have our new all-time high on the Bitstamp chart at least, I'm going to change this Fibonacci line up because I'm no longer looking for a rejection point, you guys, because we've broke them all, so I can get rid of that. Now what I'm going to do is go for a macro pull of the swing low to the swing high instead, where we have recently topped out. Just get rid of this line and keep it nice. Lock that in place. Okay, so now guys, what I'm kind of expecting, and this does not have to happen, we don't have to pull back yet, but if we are going to get that little bit of an all-time high fake out that I've kind of been expecting a little bit, looking for price targets, and I'm kind of leaning towards a little higher than I had been stating earlier. I was more saying 13.4K, but I'm thinking more 13.8 or 14K, and that's our 382 Fibonacci pulled bottom to top instead now, you guys. And in previous videos, I have mentioned that in very strong trends, that 382 level does end up being a very significant uh, line of interest. And so not only that, but it lines up absolutely perfect with the top of this wick here. We can even just go like that right there, right on that Fibonacci line, and it would also be a perfect resist to support flip, in my opinion. Of course, guys, none of this has to happen, and none of this is financial advice. Always do your own research, form your own opinions. And that's only saying that if we are going to get a bit of a harsh rejection, guys. I'm still not overly convinced it has to happen. But if I go back, you guys know that I've been talking about this macro fractal pattern that I pointed out in my one video, which I consider my most important macro view on the market. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's down in my description below. But going to go back to this previous cycle here just because I think things are so similar, and I think we are right around the area of testing all-time highs like here. And you can see here that this, I mean, here we got close, but we never quite broke all-time highs, and right now we actually have, so I'm going to consider it, we might even be in this kind of a phase right here. And you can see when we did actually confirm our bit of a fake out at all-time highs, let's just do the same thing here. Let's pull our Fibonacci from the bottom here all the way to where we would have topped out. Look at that, guys. That's bang on where it would have tested, would be that 382 line. So that's just kind of why I'm pointing out that level of interest. It seems to be a thing, and you guys know I've been saying for how many videos now that I think we're in this basically this exact same pattern playing out, and it's been working great for reading the short-term trend. It's playing out absolutely beautifully. And I would not be surprised if we get that same sort of a move where, you know what, we've had a bit of a fake out past all-time highs, barely, but it is a bit of a fake out. It would not surprise me all too much if we get that harsh rejection down to that 382 and then absolutely blow up from there. But obviously we're going to have to see how it plays out because anything can happen, and anything can happen on the shorter time frames to change that. And I'm going to jump into a little bit of a bullish pattern. Alright guys, on my 15-minute chart here, you can actually see that I entered a long position here. You know that I was watching this bit of a support line here. It used to be a channel, but just to clean things up, I turned it into just a support line and looking for a resistance flip, which has actually happened. But over here, this to me looked like a bit of a fake out when we dropped down because we started closing bodies back above that, what I was considering an important trend line. We immediately got back above that, so I was looking at this quite bullishly. Stop loss is somewhere down below this candle, so it's actually quite a ways. But I actually even posted about the entry on this trade on my Twitter. If you don't follow me, you should follow me on Twitter. Once in a while I'll post my trade setups or just my technical analysis. Of course, none of it is financial advice. I did post about this, but I also did say it's going to be lower leverage and it's going to be a much smaller position than what I was trading with when I got stopped out on my last trade here. Yesterday, that trade was absolutely great, or all the way back from the weekend. It played out just beautifully. Couldn't be happier with those profits. And right now, this trade is in a bit of a loss so far, but we're just going to have to see how it plays out. If we do end up dropping further, I wouldn't be surprised if we test this green line and get a third touch point along it somewhere down here. If that happens, I'm going to be stopped out, but I will be looking for a re-entry of some sort. Um, but one thing I want to mention, guys, is how many times in my last, I don't know, my last couple months of videos, how I've pointed out these types of trend lines before that we broke down below and even retested, but then our dumps are getting cut short, and that's kind of what's happening again. We're not necessarily getting that violent dump that we could get from what I'm considering to be an important trend line. Of course, it's early to say that, but just as it lies right now, we're going to have to see, because, as I mentioned, some of those other videos, we get that retest and we just kind of consolidate tapping away at it and then just continue our trend higher. So there is the possibility of that happening right now. I don't know for sure if it's going to. I don't have a ton of faith in this position, but that's why it's all about risk management, guys. Like I said, I put in a much smaller position, so we'll see what happens there. Now what I want to do, though, something interesting here. Speaking of those Fibonacci lines, let me just clean things up a little bit. Something that I want to point out is if I pull a Fibonacci line looking for a bit of a bounce point from where we bottomed out here to where we topped out here, you can see that we are actually finding a bit of support on that 382. We got closer to the 0.5 fib line earlier, but for the most part, we're finding good support along that 382. So that could be where we're finding support right now. And another thing I want to point out is, you guys know that I was pointing out this triangle here. We had this bit of a dump and then a triangle formation and then carried to the upside, and that absolutely played out beautifully. And right now, this is going for a bit of a stretch. It would be a much quicker time frame, guys, but we do have this dump, and we could have a very similar chart pattern playing out. I don't know for sure if this is going to happen again. It would be a lot more rushed than this one down here, but could we be lucky enough to get that exact same pattern, bit of a dump, bit of a triangle, and go further to the upside from there, get our measured move of a triangle here? Let's see, it would be something like that. From our breakout point, boom, we would be in all-time highs, and maybe that's what it would take for FOMO to absolutely kick in. Who knows, guys? We're going to have to see. It could be a very interesting next week or so in the charts. It could also just be boring as shit. We're going to have to see, because anything can happen and everyone might be scared to pull the trigger on any trades, so volatility may slow down. But I think personally that it's going to be violent in both directions. But we're just going to have to see. So again, guys, just proper bankroll management. Make sure you understand stop losses and using leverage, that sort of stuff, if you are trading actively. Always do your own research. Another thing I want to point out, actually, let me go back to this chart. Something that could be forming. So one, I just have this horizontal resistance line here. I'll just get rid of that. But one thing to watch for, guys, as far as fake outs go, is we might be in some sort of a bigger wedge pattern like this also. So even if we break all-time highs again, I'm not so sure we're going to get that breakout that everyone thinks we're going to get this next attempt. Let's just put that line back here. Even if we are to, let's say, follow this green line and kind of break out from here, what kind of a percentage move are we looking at here? About 1% higher. That would only allow us to go if my time frame is approximate there. I don't know if you guys watch Four Flies or not, but he's probably my favorite analyst, and one thing that he talks about quite often is when horizontal lines, important ones, are broken, quite often he looks for a 1% to a 3% fake out range. And that would absolutely make sense if we do get here relatively soon towards all-time highs again, and then just not quite break out, just fake everybody out again. And then maybe even get that third touch point I was talking about. Let's say we just coil up in this range further. I don't know, we're going to have to see how it plays out, but just all I'm really doing, guys, is I'm not saying what's going to happen for sure. I'm just throwing ideas at you, and just so that as the charts come to you, you can kind of just have a little bit of an idea of some things that I'm going to be watching for in the developments, just to kind of help with my short-term trading and that sort of stuff. Because of course, analysis isn't just about predicting the future, it's being able to change the way you're viewing the market. Don't be set stubborn in your ways, guys. Let the markets teach you and let them bring the patterns to you. Don't just try and force it to do things, or just get stuck on a gut feeling or an emotion, right, guys? We're looking at the technicals and trying to get that edge on the market. It's more about letting the charts do the work and you just react based on the information you're given. Anyways, guys, last but not least, this is the DXY chart, and I'm looking at it a little bit different today. On a way more zoomed out scale than I've been showing you in the past. This is the weekly chart, and even that, like, these candles are tiny. I am zoomed out, way out. This is 10 years of information, you guys. This pattern, this range, this channel has been forming for 10 years. And look at that, we did drop below it, and we did even get that retest below, and dumping below our horizontal support here as well. The US dollar is not looking healthy from a technical perspective here. Of course, if we get some sort of a fake out where we maybe get some sort of an inverse head and shoulders or something like that to pump us back into that channel, sure, that could happen. But right now, breaking out of a 10-year pattern and breaking below horizontal support like that, the US dollar looks like it's absolutely going to plummet to me, you guys. And if that happens, in my opinion, it's going to be very good for Bitcoin. And right as all-time high FOMO is kicking in, whew, that could create some fireworks, guys. So again, we'll have to see how that plays out. Of course, there's no guarantees in life, so we'll just play it as it comes, guys. Other than that, I think that's about all I have to say, guys. Again, if you appreciate this content, give me a thumbs up and subscribe and follow me on Twitter. And with that, stay safe, my friends. Peace out.